r/antiwork. Mom's Lucivag says. Taxing the rich doesn't work. Included photo. The Prophet Waco says. Just wait, it will start trickling any day now. No Zombie 2021 says. They were right about the trickle-down economy, it's just that the pyramid is upside down. To Manosaurus says. Oh, now that pyramid is right side up. Just money isn't what's trickling. Only thing trickling down is bullshit. DSTNCMDLR says. Mulch the rich. Musha Meat Suit says. This one right here. QDLZXKGK says. The trickle-down effect, trickling breadcrumbs to slaves. Captain President Duck says. Nah, that's piss. That mom next door says. Eat them instead. Cover your mask holes says. Taxing the rich doesn't work because they hold their value in unrealized equity in their companies. The way you tax them is force them to increase wages and invest more into things that help the communities around them, force them to clean up their companies' impact on the environment. Transfer their companies' wealth out of their companies, which will drop their stock prices and their wealth values will substantially go down. They also should have to pay much larger capital gains on anything over a certain lifetime bracket cap. Like first billion you get at the same rate as everyone else. All the rest is taxed at 90%. Love Carlotta says. One of the Nordic countries realized that if the rich had to send their kids to public school, they'd make sure it was well funded. They were proven right. It's not about taxes, you said, it's about allowing a divided general living. Effective Will 1801 says. The way you tax them is force them to increase wages. High taxes did exactly that in the boomer years. High income tax led to them paying higher wages instead of losing all their money in tax revenue. r/antiwork. Shock Hazard says. I finally got a raise. Guys, after over a year of hard work at my company, I've finally been given a raise. I now get $0.02 more per hour. That sure does put an end to my worries about money and rising costs of everything. I wish I was kidding. Is this a cruel joke? This gets me roughly $1 extra per week, assuming I put in overtime. My boss car cost $210k, by the way. Show off 0958 says. Act your wage up. Every honest replaceable says. Stop dressing for the job you want and start rocking those flip-flops and pajama bottoms. Zion 29047 says. I quit my career job 2 years ago because I got a raise of 0.50. My problem? 1. Everyone got the same raise because the team lead positions were dissolved after I told them I would work hard to be promoted. 2. The notorious problem employee received the same pay raise after they told me it was for my hard work and dedication, but he got the same raise for causing drama with everyone and, biatch, lying about not wanting to set up the testing area because it's too hot or we need to get lunch first. 3. That raise came after a company sponsored lunch where the directors shit-talked former coworkers that have left because of the unsavory working conditions. They shit-talked my friends/coworkers at that lunch, then the next day sent a company email saying how much they appreciated the clinic's work. Great way to feel valued, huh? 4. After I put in my 2 weeks, they started to treat me like a stranger. In my last week, the CR assumed I was stealing time because I was in the office early when in reality the team went to get breakfast that I couldn't afford. One director lied to my boss saying I was drawing instead of working. And finally, for a company so happy to help people suffering from mental health crisis, they sure ignored the one I was currently in the midst of. Find somewhere else to work, Opus. Or see if you can find another company that at least pays you more. This is why my work history is all over the place. Round Warthog 1990 says, how does it feel to be God's favorite? /s. r/anti-work. Jazz Kids Coin says, my wife got in trouble at work for pointing out that someone else was claiming credit for her work. They have a system that tracks all the open projects, but when a project gets transferred from one person to another, both people's names appear on the project. There was a guy claiming he couldn't take on any more work because he had 30 open projects. When they came to my wife with the project, she said she had over 40 projects. Why can't the guy do it? She was told he already has a bunch of open projects. When my wife pulled the report, she found he was claiming 16 projects that had been transferred to her. Her boss's boss comes into her office to give her grief for not taking any of the new projects, so my wife points out that the guy only had 14 projects. Then she shows the boss how to look up the projects in the tracking system. A day later, my wife's boss comes in and screams at her for making the guy look bad and saying my wife is not a team player. I just don't even understand corporate culture anymore. LiveTop says, her boss is mad because he got in trouble for not properly managing. What an ashat. Rustcasachel says, I don't understand corporate culture anymore. Frick, I never understood it. I was once fired for saddling up with the wrong people. Still don't know what that means. I was a front desk agent for a furniture store. I wasn't even really friends with anyone there. I took smoke breaks with one person in particular, but only because we were like the only ones who smoked. A few years later, I learned that store manager was fired for some kind of embezzlement, so IDK. Psychedelic Rick says, yells at you that you made him look bad. Nah. He did that by being bad at his job. I would have fired that back at them. TCCAD says, someone once took credit for my work and got 9k for it. I had proof and it still took 3 months before the company agreed with me and paid me for the work. I quit after getting paid. Zibino9261 says, a day later, my wife's boss comes in and screams at her for making the guy look bad and saying my wife is not a team player. Smells like sexism. Gender is a protected class, and if your wife is being discriminated because of her gender, that is grounds for filing a complaint. Thebastard King 21 says, it does not smell like sexism, it smells like her boss is shitty at his job, and his wife outed that her boss is shitty at management. Middle managers are the least valuable role in a corporation, but it is how you get from the lower ranks to the upper ranks, so they throw tantrums anytime someone shows they are bad at their job. Trust me, her manager is claiming the work both the wife and her co-worker are doing when talking to his boss, as if he is somehow contributing to it by existing. Dansard says, hope she can find another job, or at the very least give minimal effort to whatever project gets assigned. r/anti-work. Glasses not Glass says, see, we are anti-capitalist, not anti-community. I just want to say how proud of us I am. I saw the post about the utility worker who wanted to evacuate with his family and was stunned to find endless comment after comment telling him he needed to stay and fulfill his responsibility as an essential part of the hurricane response. I just want to point to it and yell at everyone, see, you complain we never want to work, but in the case of a real emergency, every damn one of us is standing strong with the value that we need to show up for our community. We are opposed to risking our health to help someone else earn yet more unnecessary money. But we are pro risking our lives to help save people when they actually need it. Hawkwise83 says, I'm a full-blown communityist. This daydreamer says, yeah. I'm essential too, and not because some corporation deemed it so. Not having staff is a huge risk to our residents and anybody calling for help. Luckily, I'm nowhere near Florida, but if snow traps me here or keeps my replacement from coming in, I'm stuck until the situation is fixed. I'm paid for all of it, but I'd be expected to bring whatever I need when there's a possibility of having to stay for a few days. I think the current record is a 33-hour shift, so I'm not that worried about it, but I knew the risk when I signed up for the job. Genesis says, well, this thread sure is bringing out the people that haven't done the recommended reading in the subnotes. Pasteria Relief says, people are happy to tell you to quit unless it impacts them, such as their water getting shut off. Then they say you should risk your life. Agentman B says, if you aren't willing to risk your life for essential infrastructure work during emergencies, you should not take a job where a major requirement is risking your life for essential infrastructure work during emergencies. It is tantamount to a firefighter complaining about being made to work during a fire instead of evacuating with their family. Like, go for it, but they are going to be right to fire you, because that's obviously not the job for you. Alton First says, you're proud of people who, from safe places, read morals to a guy in disaster zone and wants to evacuate. In this case, frick you, I'm against you and against community, whatever it means. Where Difficult 9776 says, I'm totally up for capitalists who pay decent wages and provide decent benefits and charge decent prices, and workers and consumers interact with the business to the mutual benefit of all, but that's not how things are working out. Lately most capitalists have no concept what life is like for their workers. They demonstrate boundless shameless greed and a total disregard for the humanity of their workers and customers. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.